TNA Wrestling crossed the line again with another fantastic episode of Impact Wrestling, which was headlined by the generational clash between Nick Nemeth and Alex Shelley. And we are also on the road to Rebellion with seemingly around 2 weeks left to go before Nick Nemeth takes on Moose for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. But it was another action-packed episode of Impact Wrestling. What I would say about this one is throughout the show, they were talking with roster members and they were doing a really good job of putting the importance onto that generational clash main event. They were talking to wrestlers, they were talking about it, throughout the show. There was cut scenes and everything like that. That is how you give a match without a championship a really big fight feel. And TNA done a really great job of doing that throughout the show itself. But you know what? It wasn't the only match on TNA this week. No, 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 it was not. And of course, it started with the old school rules, basically an ECW rules match between Mustafa Ali and Rhino. And of course, being in the 2300 arena in Philly, the big ECW chant started this match as Rhino and Ali were getting into it. Matt Raywell did bury ECW and saying it was time to move on. It's been 20 years. Rhino was pulling out the weapons. They were doing so much in this match, and it was a great old school ECW trash can, tables, you name it. They got it. It was so brought you back. You brought those fans back, that were ECW there, and Ali doing a Van Terminator as well. It was so good. There was a corner gore through a table that Rhino missed. There was so much old school action in this. Ali did obviously score the victory after Rhino did miss the gore through the corner table. But it was such a good, should Rhino have given Ali that much of a match? Probably not, but who cares? It was in the ECW arena. We deserved a bit of old school ECW on there. After that match, our good buddy, someone who we've spoke to on this channel, Jake Something, come out. They basically had a brawl all over the place as well. And Something took out more of the Secret Service with a power bomb. So there was obviously Ali's Secret Service at ringside. Jake Something destroyed them. And then, like I said at the start, they went backstage and they were talking to the roster about how excited they were about Nemeth and Shelley tonight. And this is what I'm saying is you can use what you can to make the match without a title feel as big as possible. And this is what TNA done so well with this one. Now, talking and roster, next come Hammerstone. He was out of chat with GM Miller. He was still having Alexander's headgear in his hand. And he has offered Alexander a chance to wrestle him again at Rebellion. I did like the fact that he grabbed the camera for the latter half of this promo. Really did, gave it a bit more of sort of like an important feel to that as well, because he was taking control of the camera. He actually took out the camera guy with camel clutch as well before the torture rack, and it was really good actually. Because they did go back to the guy's fallen camera to show the ill effects of the torture rack. I thought that was really good. A nice little touch there from TNA. You don't always get that, and they're doing what I like. And I did say this in another podcast the other day when I was talking about a different company, but sometimes it's the marginal gains and the little things that you do that make the biggest difference to production. And TNA really done something really, really well on this one. So really kudos to them for doing it. It really made things feel more important. It just worked. It just worked. Rascals come out next, and they called out Chicago, New York, and Philly. And then Trey Miguel buried ECW's tag teams before saying they'll give Philly a chance to see a real tag team. And speaking of real tag teams in ECW, out comes the FBI. Little Guido, and there was two new members, which was Zach Clayton and Ray Jazz, and this sets up the next match. It didn't last too long. Tom Hannifan done a great job actually of hyping up Jazz as an All-American, because he quickly took down Miguel on this at the start and was doing a lot of amateur stuff. So he was really hyping him up. But like I said, it didn't really last long before a double stomp power bomb from Trey Miguel pick up the win for the Rascals in this. But it was so nice to see Nunzio, little Guido, sorry, little Guido Nunzio, same thing. After all these years, they got a great response, and it's really this nostalgic feeling to Impact Wrestling this week as well, with those two matches kicking off the show. It was really, really, really nice. A nice little touch to ECW. Now, an interesting here, there was part one, we're looking like, of a series featuring Jonathan Gresham. And it was showing him in a group meeting saying he needs to wear a mask before a quick anonymous cut showed him in blue. I'm not quite sure where the game is, but if it means Gresham is coming back to TNA, I'm all for that. Gresham is one of the, again, another one of the best wrestlers that I've seen. And can't talk highly enough of him. I really hope that he's coming back to TNA. It will be great to see him back in Impact and on Impact soon. Hopefully, it won't take long. We'll see how long these parts last. Rebellion is coming up in a couple of weeks. Does he get involved there at some point? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Speedball Mountain were at the back with Gian Miller. They were talking about getting cheated out of the match last week against Eddie Edwards. Moose says they've got all the gold, and Trent Seven says they'll get the tag team titles, and he's going to knock out Moose next week. So seemingly, Moose versus Trent Seven next week. That should be a hella of an encounter. Looking forward to seeing that one. Speaking of matches, I was looking forward to seeing Frankie Kazarian and Chris Bay was next. Now, but the Club ABC have been teasing a little issue with them recently. It was started last week, I believe, where Ace Austin was, wasn't very happy at Chris Bay not focusing on the tag team championships, which they'd lost recently. Nevertheless, Austin was there for this match, and I'll tell you what, Frankie Kazarian, Chris Bay, it was so good. Like, can playing the old school heel. He's got so much experience, and you've got Chris Bay there, a younger, very hungry to do a lot in TNA. And this match just so worked, and it was so good to see Kazarian, getting a bit of a rub. He's last couple of years, Kazarian's not really done a lot, and he'd maybe be the first to admit that as well. He's getting a good run here in TNA, and he's using the experience. And it will help the likes of Chris Bay in the longer run, as Chris Bay goes up the ladder, and Ace Austin and a lot of the younger guys there. But Kazarian playing this heel character and playing it so well and having these great matches. This was such an outstanding match. And I think really, in terms of singles action, this was the best singles match that Chris Bay has had in TNA, in my opinion. There was at the end of this match, Kaz wrapped a chain around his hand, went to use it. Ace Austin grabbed it. The ref saw him and kicked it out, kicked Ace Austin out. As Kaz was liking about that, he ate a flip, but he did hit Chris Bay a low blow and the fade to black to give Kaz the win. But still, a really, really good single showcase match on TNA. And this is what we've become accustomed to watching quite a bit on TNA recently. These brilliant, I'm not saying not tag matches, I mean brilliant as well, but these singles matches with the experience and the young, hungry lion, so to speak, been really working, and I want to see more of that. We did have a recap of Explosion with MK Ultra's issues before Slamovich was talking in Russian, so I don't know what the hell she said, to be quite honest with you. Alicia Edwards has told her, Slamovich, that they need to be a team now, that Killer Kelly has gone, since she needs a title for the system. She's the only member of the system that doesn't have a title. So does that mean that Slamovich and Alicia Edwards are going to form a team and go after the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Danny Luna and Jody Fred? We will see. There was a nice bit with Josh Alexander, who I met at Revolution Pro Wrestling. Just a side note, this past weekend he had some amazing matches. Now, TNA review is a good time to say this, and I did say this on the Revolution Pro review. Josh Alexander took on Leon Slater at Revolution Rumble on Sunday, 2 TNA stars. TNA, if you watch that, just book it. Just make it happen, because that match was absolutely tremendous. He also had a really great match with British Wrestling Standout and a good friend of the show, JJ Gow, the next night. I think Alexander was in like 3 matches in a day. He done Leon Slater. He was part of the Revolution Rumble, and then he took on JJ Gow the next day. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Josh, come back come back to Rev Pro if you can. Definitely come over with TNA. It was so great to see you. Incredible, incredible wrestler. I can't wait to see you in action over here again in the UK. Having said that, he did say how much he admires Alex Shelley for traveling the world, and he did mention about how Nemeth achieved great success in one place. Now, what that, again, hyping up the main event, making that main event feel more special. They build it as a generational clash, and it was. But to have these little snippets going through the program really gave that match a bigger, more important feel. And it really did showcase that. And this is what TNA, when you get matches like that, they need to do. It was so good to see this and refreshing in a lot of cases. Well, you used to see this, I think, many, many years ago. And it does give those big fight feels to these matches. So kudos to TNA for doing it again. And a great little promo from Josh. Speaking of promos, Big Con come out about talking about being one of the 2 monsters that will fight in the Monsters Ball with PCO. Is that going to be next week? It hasn't been confirmed yet, but I can't wait. On this channel, I've been itching for that match to be inside Monsters Ball, and it is. We're just waiting for when. I can't wait to see it. Zaya Brookside and Ash by Elegance was next. Would Ash continue her winning ways? She had a concierge come out as well. So this is Ash's 4th match in TNA. And Tom Hannifan brought up a point that she didn't wrestle in the 841 match last week, and he wished harm on the concierge because he's so annoying. They started off bickering, and this was a good back and forth match, actually. Ash is really showing, again, sometimes where they were before, she never really got the opportunity, and people will only sort of comment on what they see and not actually what they're doing to perhaps, improve themselves as a wrestler or try and get over. What Ash has done here is such a great job of not only showing the improvement that she's shown, but how she's adopted this new character. And people have commented on the character as well about being a rip-off of somebody else that's doing kind of a similarity of what she's doing. But she has taken this character, she has made it her own, and she has shown improvement in the ring, or maybe not even improvement in the ring. She has shown what she can do in the ring, which she hadn't been shown before because she was never given a full opportunity week in, week out to showcase the talents. The match itself, it was a good back and forth match between her and Zaya. It did end up with the concierge throwing champagne in Brookside's face and then Ash rolling her up for the victory. Another good win for Ash by Elegance. That's 4 now, 4 in a row for her. Will the momentum keep rolling? Will the title shot be coming Ash's way? The loss won't damage Zaya at all. She's still a really great wrestler as well, and a UK. Let's remember that. Spoke earlier about the issues with Bullet Club ABC, and they were seemingly having more issues this week. They were talking about how Ace was talking about how Chris Bay lost the singles. He needs to focus on a tag. Maybe it was a bad idea to fight Kazarian this week. And that led to AJ Francis entered. And he did, compared to Chris Bay, and this isn't AJ Francis like Andre the Giant compared to Chris Bay. But he did ask if Chris Bay would like to fly first class. And a little bit thinking, Bay said he's flown with Austin first class a ton. And they'd like a tag match with first class instead. Maybe that'll be next week. Who knows, AJ Francis and Rich Swann. It cut backstage again to Matt Cardona and Steph DeLanda. And they hyped up Steph DeLanda's power and said they want some money and they want some gold. Hardly a surprise with Cardona and Steph DeLanda, really. So at the moment, official for next week was the Laredo Kid against Crazy Steve for the Digital Media Championship. And the contract signing with Jordan Grace and Steph DeLanda for the women's match at Revolution, the women's Knockouts Championship match at Rebellion. Sorry, Revolution. Jeez, it's early, people. It's early, okay? Let me off. We finally get to the main event, and they did do a bit more hype, and they're doing like this, the video packages with like this Finpix style video to make things look even better in slow motion. It's a bit like what New Japan do. It's really, really good. I've loved what they've done in this. Loved it. they bought obviously Nemeth come out in a sort of custom made one for this, and it's got like an ECW logo, wanted effing man, in the black and red, and it with blue barbed wire across his ties. It's really, really good. But look, I mean, this match itself was, you know, do I say was this the best TV main event in TNA this year so far? I think it was. I'm going to have to go along that line. It was a fantastic TV main event, and TNA have done really strong main events on their shows this year. This one, you know, if you can sort of you put a Nick Nemeth and Alex Shelley in the ring, you know exactly what you're going to get. Nick Nemeth is so, so good, not only at selling, but his wrestling, how he conducts himself in the ring, the moves. Shelley, a big experience factor as well. Was this one of the last times we see him? We don't know. But you put them two together and it created magic, and it's exactly what it created this week on TNA from start when they were hyping it up. And sometimes when you get to these matches and you've hyped them up for so long, they don't hit the note. This not only hit the note, it created a new note, and it was so, so good. Brilliant, brilliant main event. Nick Nemeth picked up the victory with a danger zone. But my God, that match was so, so good. Go out your way to watch that match. Go out your way to watch Chris Bay and Kaz as well. That was a great, great match. Another fun-filled, action-packed episode of TNA this week. We look forward to next week as we get on to the final two stops before Rebellion. Keep watching TNA. It has been so good, so refreshing to see it back. Can't wait to see it next week. Guys, this has been the TNA review on the channel. Just keep it looking for us in the future. We'll be back with some more interviews, with some more preview shows. Until next time, everybody, go and watch some Impact Wrestling.